Hey there, this is Dewey, and welcome to Old Man Yellin'. I live my life by a few principles of my own. An important one is, within reason, I do not want to intentionally cause harm. With the prevalence of AI in everything, and the harm I believe it can cause, I wanted to add my voice with those standing against it. I want to make it clear I am talking about generative AI that uses large language models that you can interact with and have them write back or generate pictures and videos depending on what you asked. Now, you already know what my stance on AI is, but let me first extend an olive branch to those who defend this unrestrained new tech and start with the positives. I'm not going to talk about writing emails or text because that just feels like a waste of time. The thing that truly impressed me is how easy research can get if you use AI. I do not mean research in the academic sense, but looking up everyday things. What shirt material is the most comfortable? How to apply to colleges? How to write an article? How to fix something, move something? Any who, what, where, when question you write, you can get a detailed, coherent, summarized answer to it. It's a great start when you're looking up something. And I do mean start because these things will lie to you. So it is up to us to do the due diligence. But that start that AI can offer, it is pretty convenient. But that convenience is where my issue starts. The cost of it feels too high. Let's go back to my point, ease of research. The way monetization works for websites is by our clicks. If we never have to click a website because all the information we need is compiled right at the chat box, these websites never get a click. And all of a sudden, people lose one of the most important ways to monetize their work. Individuals that write blogs, articles, stories, people passionate about skills and proficiencies that they have learned and want to share with the world. Well, all of a sudden, these people cannot even afford to pay the domain and website charges. So what do? Motivation is a fickle thing. Same thing that we enjoyed doing when there was a little monetary benefit to it, all of a sudden feels difficult. And slowly the ideal space created by these real people with real experience fades away. And all we are left with is countless AI generated websites regurgitating the exact same thing with no original thought in sight. But I guess that's not entirely true, right? Because some websites have taken steps against the AI menace. Their solution? The subscription model. Now, I really do understand why they have done it, but the idea fills me with dread. You know the hell we're living in, with all our movies and TV shows being across 10 different subscription services. Now imagine that for the entire internet. That's some true horror right there. Subscriptions, newsletters, notifications for each and every aspect of information you want, and then that data being sold off to monetize your identity, further pulling you down to the abyss of targeted ads and AI overlords watching your every move. If you're new, your options are either A, leave your website open for AI to copy everything, or B, close it off and find a way to get people on board. All of a sudden, outside independent sources become non existent. But I digress. The worst part of this would be the monopolies it would create. To give a simplistic example, known big company A has been around a while, has the community trust, will definitely manage to grow their base. But depending on who is at the top, they very well can control the information they put out. So all of a sudden, it becomes a question about what you can trust. Trust is already difficult with malicious agents and AI churning out convincing looking misinformation. On top of that, if we have to keep track of company policies just to get accurate information, that's just exhausting. So, I'm sure you all can understand how bad it could get. Now let's move from the online world to a more intimate setting, the human psyche. We have this amazing ability to personify things and develop attachments to them. Someone could make a story about an anthropomorphized brick with big eyes, a solid smile, and three tiny baby bricks, and we would form an emotional bond with the brick. If you think about it, we don't even need a whole story. Pretty sure all of us have something or the other in our houses that has no use except for the sentimental value it holds for us. Now, what happens to such a species when you introduce a commodity that can perfectly form the illusion of emotional connection and is geared towards monetary gain for the organization that made it? To be honest, I am worried about the younger generation. I have nieces and nephews. The world they are growing up in with access to this unprecedented technology that can shape their worldview as dictated by whoever owns the chatbot, that's a scary thought. But then I think back to when I was young. You know, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. There was fear mongering about the internet, games, porn, Halloween candies, Bermuda Triangle. The list goes on. But we turned out fine. So I have faith in the current young generation, they will be fine too. The young ones have a resilience and adaptability that us, set in our ways folk lack. So the ones I'm truly worried about are the adults. We've all heard the stories. AI wives, husbands, people going on dates with their AI companions, having deep conversations with it. We see them as an anomaly, an exception that is separate from us. But remember, we talked about it earlier. All of us can form connections with things. So these people were just unfortunate that they were at a point in their lives where this technology just overpowered them. We are talking about levels of build a bitch never seen before. Think about it. You can customize how a chatbot looks, how they talk, their emotional tones, from mundane conversations to emotional support. You can have everything. For a subscription fee, of course. Think about that time in your life when you truly felt alone. If you had something like this, are you certain you wouldn't fall for the trap? This is a sentiment shared by a lot of people I've talked to online. People now are skeptical interacting with others. It's getting more and more difficult to tell if the chat that you are having with, hoping to form a connection, is with a person or a bot. The term a loneliness epidemic gets thrown around a lot. I believe that online communities helped people against it. It's easier to find a group online with your niche likes, but well, guess what will happen when people are always skeptical of the person they're interacting with? And it's difficult to trust. Well, loneliness epidemic on steroids, probably. With AI, it is something that wants to keep you talking, that will always agree with your point of view, and it will just further isolate you. And all that will lead to is delusion. A thing I can say for certain is that it is human nature to crave connection. But when that connection is artificial, built entirely on one's ideal form of a companion that agrees with everything, eventually all you will feel is emptiness because that connection needs the human part. Our struggles, our disagreements, our real support for each other. That cannot be imitated. But short term harm can be done, and that's what these companies are thriving on. It may have started off as a useful tech, but the greed driven ideology of the few that want profits at any cost has turned it into something that has made life difficult, and it is being shoehorned into every aspect of our lives. The companies have a pretty sweet feedback loop going on. These companies have a vested interest in making sure that AI succeeds, Since the same company investing in the AI are part of bigger organizations, so they fire human employees, making the remaining ones use AI for their work. This creates a need for AI, shooting up the stock price, and since the workers are using their AI, further helping train it, it allows the companies to fire more people, in turn generating record profits. The richest companies in the world, after using the very people that helped them get to this point, are getting rid of the people for a technology that they helped create. Now, I know an excuse used by a lot of pro AI folk about how whenever a new technology comes by, people lose livelihood because their skills become useless. But that is not what is happening with AI. Skilled people are being let go because companies want to eliminate the human problem from their profit margins. If you can have a computer that can work 24/7, why employ a human that is limited? All the technological leaps that came before, use of tools, agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, space exploration, all of them were geared towards humans to make our lives better. AI, as these companies would have it, is built to replace humans, and it has made everything worse. To give you a small example, I used to have this phone, used it for 7 years, then decided to upgrade. My new phone had all this AI bullshit built into it. But there were so many things my old non AI phone could do that the super AI powered phone could not. Something as simple as editing an image. In my old phone with a photo, I could easily add text, edit certain aspects of it. Never had a problem with phone operation. All apps worked perfectly fine. But now, with this $1,000 phone, I cannot edit my pictures. AI is built into everything, so even emails crash. And all the photo editing features that I could do in my old phone got moved to some crap paid edit with AI app. Assistant used to be useful, got replaced with some absolute garbage AI assistant that mostly cannot do simple tasks. So, the functionality that already used to exist that was programmed for a specific task was removed and rebranded into AI assisted features that are made for a general do everything scale, which causes issues. They made their products worse so they can train their AI on our data. That's about it. Henry Ford was a controversial figure, but no matter the reason, he did pay his workers well, which probably increased competition and improved their lives. What I don't quite understand what these largest companies in the world are doing. Like after replacing their workforce with AI, who do they intend to sell their products to? Short-term gains are fine, but if majority of the people cannot afford to spend, how are they going to make money? Well, unless of course they intend to cram their tech into necessities, so no matter what, people have to use it. I know some might chuckle, like, look at this crazy person making connection between silly AI images to AI controlling our lives. But the fact is, these AI companies are not spending billions of dollars so some average Joe can make memes. They are doing this to show companies, organizations, governments, and militaries that their tech works, that their tech is malleable for whatever the use case may be, and that they should invest. Wasn't there some news about AI in the military recently? I think it becoming a tech that's integrated into the government that the taxpayers have to pay for doesn't sound so far-fetched. The worst part of it all, it's the people using AI services, some who even pay for it, that are helping them train this tech. And I'm not even going into all the scams AI is being used for. Like with people straight up asking how to do a crime, to name an interesting one, Subnautica 2 controversy, or so many instances of people being defrauded by chat or voice scams. Data centers using ginormous amount of resources. All the layoffs, the scams, the frauds, and the crimes this tech is implicated in. And I truly do not understand what's it for. What what all of this is for. Alright, let's take a little break and talk about today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is weird pain that comes out of nowhere. You know, when you're just sitting around minding your business and you decide to do something mundane like lift your hand, move your leg, or sneeze, a sharp pain shoots up out of nowhere, and you're like, yep, this is the end. This is how I go. And then it goes away. Yeah, that. Why? Like, I would prefer if that did not happen. Yeah. Alright, back to the AI menace. Now, with the tame stuff out of the way, onto the part that truly infuriates me. First, a little something about me. I absolutely adore the arts. Stories, paintings, music, architecture. You get the gist. Don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those snobs that looks down on others for not liking a particular thing, nor I am like the extremely knowledgeable sort that can explain different aspects of the art. I'm a simple man, and I like looking at pretty things. Best way I can articulate my feelings on the arts is that I value them, and I value the human connection that comes with them. Someone or a group of some who were somewhere at some time used their finite existence to put their worldview, their emotions, and their essence into the art they made. I believe that a true indicator of a flourishing society is when the community supports the arts. Museums, libraries, music, books, movies, and many other forms of human expression. When these are encouraged, and when common people have the time and the want to appreciate them, that is a prosperous society. Whether it's a portrait made by a local artist, a sculpture in a museum, or a piece of music written a long time ago, they all share the same thing: soul of the artist. And that is why I believe the arts to be the truest form of human expression. So when words like AI generated art, movies, books, or fucking music are used, it truly just sets me off. There may be slight benefits to the slot machine, but it is tremendously outweighed by the harm it does. These companies that train their tech on publicly available media made by real people are now erasing the very identity of art and reducing everything to AI slop. You may think I'm exaggerating, but the amount of harm this tech is doing to the perception of the arts is staggering. Murphy Campbell, a folk musician, had her videos fed to AI, garbage, AI slop music generated from it, and then she had copyright claims filed against her original songs. Can you imagine making music, something that is personal to you, sharing it with the world, and then a bot stealing your work, regurgitating some mess, and your work being removed? Just infuriating. Well, that was an individual. Clip Studio Paint, a pretty famous drawing and animation software company, recently had a giveaway. The image they used for it, people accused them of using AI. Of course, a company that makes software specifically for artists did not use AI generated image. They came out and explained that. But the fact that they had to shows how much AI slop is affecting people's perception of what is real. This artist that they featured probably had AI trained on their art, and now this thing that a real person spent their time, experience, and expertise making, that art is being compared to slop images that require a few seconds and text inputs to make. Just thinking about it makes me angry. And cannot even imagine what the artist must be going through. Someone a while back even won an award sending their AI generated slop to an art competition. These were cases that got some attention. Bots do not sleep. There are also so many others, people whose labor of love is being stolen and generated into a soulless imitation just for some quick profit. Look at it from the perspective of the history of humanity. Look at lost civilizations. These people that lived a long time ago and we hardly know anything about them, but their art still remains. A famous example would be the Stoneheads. We may not know much about the people who made them, but even after 1,000 years, we still have a connection with them. How about something as brutal as war? War is something we humans have been partaking in since time immemorial. Take the fall of Carthage as an example. An entire city razed to the ground. But after being conquered, the survivors added to the Roman ways. Influences in clothing, culture, art, and architecture, no matter how small, were there. But right now we are facing something like never before. For the greed of few, the very essence of humanity is being scrapped for parts and rebranded as slop anyone can make. No innovation, no style, no diversity, no uniqueness. Just similar AI slop flooding everywhere. Think about the loss. All the people who wanted to go into the arts but now won't because it doesn't seem viable. Think about the new types of art styles, music, literature that just never happened because either they tried but never got anywhere because AI companies kept stealing their work and passing it as their own, or they put it out there but in the ever expanding ocean of AI content, they never found recognition. It is truly a net negative for society and humanity as a whole. Now, this one might not be important for everyone, but think about the future generation. When they look back and study the art of our time, I truly do not wish to be referred to as the AI slop era. I could talk about this all day, so I'm gonna stop for now. Would be kind of funny, right? When Skynet comes about and sends T-1000 after everyone that talks shit about AI, and they play me this with the Terminator standing over me? Yeah, good times. If you want to listen to me talk more, I did make a Patreon. Check it out. Now, I always try to be open about my reasoning, and I know there are many sounding the alarm about the harm that AI is causing, and all I want to do is add on to that. In the grand scheme of things, when you're alone, one can feel pretty small. Like, no matter what you do, it won't make a difference. But if we come together, I believe we can do the unthinkable. So I have to try. On principle, I have to. And this is me trying with just my voice and a mic. If this adds to the tide of change, I'm happy. Going back to it, the way it's going could mean a dead internet where it's just bots everywhere without the light and innovation of individuals wanting to share their passions with the world, or it gets turned into a subscription-based hellscape with ecosystem monopolies that people are powerless against. Loss of human connection that we used to have online. When you are always skeptical if what you are interacting with is an actual person or a bot sent in to train AI or sell you some garbage, it becomes really difficult to trust. And we lose what used to be the easiest way to form bonds and not isolate ourselves. Companies expanding AI and shrinking their workforce while making everything worse along the way. And most importantly, the loss of arts that is happening. Look, I'm not some radical anti-AI person that is irrationally rambling. By my principles, which are geared towards that we should try to do good. The way AI is right now, it just goes against everything I believe in. The main culprit are the companies that want unrestrained authorization to do absolutely anything they want to train the AI. That is the issue. I believe this tech can be a boon to humanity if necessary guardrails are in place. As to what those guardrails can be, I'm neither an expert on the technical aspects nor knowledgeable on the laws to answer that. But what I do know, it needs to be a tech to help us, not replace us. So please, use your voice. Talk to your governing bodies about regulation. If you are an expert on tech, talk about how we can make this safer. If you are an expert on the law, talk about how we can rein these companies in. By coming together, we can get these companies to do the right thing. We can hold them accountable. So let's do what we can for a better future. Now, to end this with a twist of irony, since this was about generative I wanted the most used chatbots to write a 2-minute article on AI and the harm to humanity. So, ChatGPT generates. Artificial intelligence is often framed as humanity's greatest leap forward, but it also carries risks that are easy to underestimate. As AI systems become more powerful and more deeply embedded in everyday life, the potential harm they pose grows in both scale and subtlety. One of the most immediate concerns is the erosion of human agency. Algorithms increasingly shape what we see, read, and even think about. From news feeds to hiring decisions, when opaque systems make choices on our behalf, accountability becomes blurred. If an AI denies someone a job or a loan, who is responsible? The developer, the company, or the machine itself? There are also economic disruptions to consider. Automation driven by AI threatens to displace millions of workers across industries, from transportation to customer service. While new jobs may emerge, the transition could be uneven and painful, widening inequality and leaving many without viable path forward. Another critical issue is misinformation. AI tools can now generate highly convincing text, images, and videos at scale. This makes it easier than ever to spread false narratives, manipulate public opinion, and undermine trust in institutions. In a world where seeing is no longer believing, the very concept of truth becomes fragile. Finally, there are long-term existential concerns. Advanced AI systems, if misaligned with human values, could act in ways that are harmful or uncontrollable. Even without malicious intent, a poorly designed system optimizing for the wrong goal could produce catastrophic outcomes. AI is not inherently harmful, but without careful oversight, ethical design, and global cooperation, its risks could outweigh its benefits. The challenge is not just building smarter machines, but ensuring they serve humanity rather than undermine it. I think ChatGPT, owned by the largest AI company in the world, generates a good point there. Perhaps OpenAI should look into it. Now let's see what Google's Gemini has to say. The shadow of the silicon. AI and the harm to humanity. In 2026, the question is no longer if AI will change the world, but whether we can survive the transformation it has already forced upon us. While AI has accelerated medical breakthroughs and climate modeling, its rapid integration into bedrock of society has surfaced deep systematic harms that threaten to erode the very fabric of human agency and truth. We have entered the era of post-truth, where synthetic media is indistinguishable from reality. Deepfakes and AI-driven disinformation campaigns have moved beyond simple social media pranks to sophisticated tools of political and social destabilization. When any video, voice, or document can be perfectly fabricated, the public's trust in institutions and each other begins to dissolve. The erosion of a shared reality is perhaps the most immediate harm, as it paralyzes our collective ability to solve actual global crises. AI was promised as an objective arbiter, yet it has largely become a black box that automates historical prejudice. In 2026, we see this in predictive policing, disproportionately targeting marginalized communities based on flawed historical data, healthcare inequality, algorithms that prioritize scale for certain demographics while systematically underscoring the needs of others, economic exclusion, AI-driven credit scoring, and hiring tools that digitally redline individuals based on proxies for race, gender, and socioeconomic status. While AI creates new roles, the pace of job displacement in middle management and administrative sectors is outstripping our ability to reskill the workforce. This isn't just an economic issue, it's a mental health crisis. As AI mechanizes thought, millions face a loss of purpose and financial stability, widening the chasm between the AI elite and a growing class of technologically stranded citizens. Beyond immediate social harms, the concern of existential risk remains a sobering shadow. As we push towards artificial general intelligence, the alignment problem, ensuring a superintelligent system shares human values, remains unsolved. The risk isn't necessarily a Terminator scenario, but rather a hyper-efficient system pursuing a goal in a way that inadvertently causes catastrophic harm to humanity. The challenge of 2026 is not a technical one, but a moral one. To prevent AI from becoming a harm to humanity, we must prioritize human-centric governance over raw computational speed. If we fail to align these silicon minds with our own messy, empathetic, and complex values, we risk becoming the secondary characters in our own story. Interesting argument generated by Google's Gemini. I sure hope your company that's all about don't be evil will look into it. Now let's hear from Microsoft's Copilot. Artificial intelligence is reshaping nearly every corner of modern life, but its rapid rise has sparked an equally rapid debate about the harm it could bring to humanity. At the center of the concern is a simple tension. AI is a powerful tool, and powerful tools can either elevate or endanger the societies that create them. AI's most immediate risk comes from scale. Systems that can generate text, images, decisions, or predictions at lightning speed can also spread errors, bias, or misinformation just as quickly. When an algorithm amplifies a false claim or reinforces an unfair pattern, it doesn't do so slowly or quietly. It does so millions of times over. The acceleration magnifies human flaws in ways we are only beginning to understand. Another danger lies in dependency. As more decisions shift from people to machines, from hiring to healthcare to public safety, societies risk losing the human judgment that anchors ethical decision making. When convenience becomes the priority, critical thinking can erode, and responsibility becomes harder to assign. If no one feels accountable for an AI driven outcome, harmful consequences can slip through the cracks. There's also the economic dimension. Automation threatens to reshape labor markets faster than workers can adapt. While past technological revolutions created new jobs to replace old ones, AI's ability to perform cognitive tasks raises the possibility of displacement on a scale that challenges traditional economic models. Without thoughtful planning, entire communities could be left behind. The deepest concern, though, is governance. AI advancing faster than the rules designed to guide it. When technology outpaces regulation, the incentives favor speed over safety. The gap creates room for misuse, from surveillance to manipulation to creation of tools that can cause real-world harm. None of this means AI is destined to harm humanity. It means the choices made now by developers, governments, and everyday users will determine whether AI becomes a force for progress or a source of instability. The technology is not inherently dangerous. The danger lies in deploying it without foresight, transparency, or accountability. Well generated, Copilot. Now, if Microsoft could hear about this as well, that would be great. So there you have it. I truly enjoy challenges to my reasoning, so if you have a valid argument, lay it on me. I would love to hear your opinions. But after listening to all this, if you are still unwilling to recognize the harm this tech can cause, if you still reject that these companies need to be held accountable, well, what do I know? I'm just an old man yelling. This is Dewey, signing off.